We whose journeys are always beginning, we whose mission always awaits us, we whose visions are bent on loving, we gather together here, we gather together with questions, the kinds of questions that provoke us to the path of action. We gather with hope, the kind of hope that pulses on through uncertainty. We gather then unbounded but close. We gather thirsting. We gather drawn to our source, our Creator. Blessed be. This morning, our candles of community will also be our opportunity to offer financial support to the church. Come light a candle for whatever personal reason you feel called to do so, and because our morning assembly today is a celebration of water communion, this is also our time of forgiving. The candles and the bowl await friends.
There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul, and it's it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my heart, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing in my mind, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing. There's a river flowing. There's a river flowing in my soul.
Please stand in body or spirit for our chalice lighting and spoken affirmation. Our chalice lighting was written by Laura Horton Ludwig. She calls it a chalice lighting for water communion. Fire and water, ancient opposites, sun and ocean, the cradle of life, dancing flame and dancing river, we invoke them together today as we kindle our chalice flame. Join me as together as we recite the aspiration of our faith from the Universalist branch. The words, should you need them, are in the morning program.
Love is the spirit of this church,
and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth and freedom, and to help one another.
Good morning. If the two of you would come over on this side, and then Walter and Susie, if you would come on this side and then face out towards the congregation. Today, we are welcoming 4 new members into Red River Unitarian Universalist Church. Susie Norris, Walter Norris, Marsha Reynolds, and Jim Reynolds. And they've already signed the membership book, which is the tangible record of joining Red River UU. Susie Norris worked in the debit card and banking industry most of her adult life, even though her degree was in fashion merchandising. She grew up in the Church of Christ, attending church and Sunday school every Sunday. As she matured, she realized this belief system wasn't a good fit. She's interested in social justice issues and has helped teens with minor legal issues. Her other interests including gardening, camping, travel, and cats. Walter Norris is a former Baptist minister and retired social worker who worked in the mental health field. He took a complete left turn from his Baptist past and is now interfaith-oriented and focuses on a spiritual life. He's passionate about civil and human rights and is a docent educator with the Dallas Holocaust and Human Rights Museum. Marsha Reynolds was raised in the Church of Christ and attended Bible church as an adult, where she was involved in women's ministries. She's been a seeker of truth since age 40. She was a secretary for Dallas County Adult Probation Office for 7 years before staying home with children. She went back to school at age 44 to become a physical therapist. Jim and Marcia Reynolds have been married since 2000. They are vegan and started a local plant group called Plant-Based Texoma that hosts monthly vegan potluck dinners. Her chair yoga classes for seniors at Red River UU will start on September 6th. Jim is a retired licensed professional counselor and is interested in whole plant food-based lifestyle. He has one daughter and a 14-year-old grandson who live in Plano. Susie, Walter, Marcia, and Jim, we are honored that you have chosen to travel the faith journey with us. The decision to join a church is significant because it means you are uniting your unique personalities, your ideas, and your abilities with the variety of those already here. I ask you, Susie, have you come of your own free choice to live in covenant with us and to move with us in the future with hope and vision?
I have.
You've got the rest of that.
Oh, okay. I don't know if you were going to ask everybody the same thing first. I seek to understand and fulfill my potential as a human being, to deepen my spiritual life, and to be of service to humanity. I willingly enter into this covenant that binds us together as a religious community, and I pledge to support this church as I am able with my heart and hands, my talents, and my resources.
Okay, and then Walter, I ask you, have you come of your own free choice to live in covenant with us and to move with us into the future with hope and vision?
I have. I seek to understand and fulfill my potential as a human being, to deepen my spiritual life, and to be of service to humanity. I willingly enter into this covenant that binds us together as a religious community, and I pledge to support this church as I am able with my heart and hands, my talents, and my resources.
Okay, and if we pass that on to Marcia. I ask you, Marcia, have you come of your own free choice to live in covenant with us and to move with us into the future with hope and vision?
I have. I seek to understand and fulfill my potential as a human being, to deepen my spiritual life, and to be of service to humanity. I willingly enter into this covenant that binds us together as a religious community, and I pledge to support this church as I am able with my heart and hands, my talents, and my resources.
And Jim, I ask you, have you come of your own free choice to live in covenant with us and to move with us into the future with hope and vision?
I have. I also seek to understand and fulfill my potential as a human being, to deepen my spiritual life, and to be of service to humanity. I willingly enter into this covenant that binds us together as a religious community, and I pledge to support this church as I am able with my heart and hands, my talent, and my resources.
And then now the congregation will respond. The response is on the screen. We formally induct you into membership in Red River Unitarian Universalist Church and welcome you as a fellow seeker after wisdom, a companion in time of sorrow, and a celebrant in time of joy. We pledge ourselves to challenge and nurture one another and to respect and value your presence and your participation. May we be worthy of your trust. Red River UU has gifts for you new members. A coffee mug, which symbolizes our tradition of gathering in community and as friends. A tote bag, which symbolizes the way we all share the work of running this lay-led church. And finally, a red rose, which symbolizes the beauty and specialness that each of you brings.
Okay, smile for the newsletter.
And now I invite my fellow church members to offer you an all-congregation welcome. Again, the words are on the screen. We, the members of Red River Unitarian Universalist Church, pledge to each other to speak honestly, act with compassion, love without prejudice, and live with integrity and respond to the demands of justice. Okay. Not quite finished. In the words of John Burens, former minister at First Unitarian Church of Dallas, may your thoughts be wise, may your lips speak truth, may your heart know love, and may the work of your hands be blessed all the days of your life. Thank you.
Glimmers of silver. During this, our silver anniversary, we are taking a few minutes once a month to remind ourselves or to learn about some snippets of history since March 27th, 1996, March 26, 1997, which was our first gathering. We've already experienced one today. The prelude was sung in circa 2007 while we were still on Harrison Street, and it was a water communion ceremony then, and Dan Althoff was playing the piano. The other glimmer of silver is the story of our little free library, that. From the Little Free Library website, Red River Unitarian Universalist Church, our Little Free Library creation story began when a member of our congregation on a visit to Madison, Wisconsin, saw a Little Free Library. He brought the idea back to church, and a church board member, Gil Alexander, liked the idea and took it to the social action team, which we had then, and we have a new chair of the social action team again. He had the idea of building a house. I think originally he thought we could just copy the building's design, but I think that's a little too complicated. But he built it. And did he build it or did Kevin? He and Carrie built it. And this is when Albert is president and Dan is outgoing president, or was it the other way around? Doesn't matter. After it got installed. Our library is well used, and during the pandemic, we expanded it beyond books to include food, canned food, in case there were people who needed it. You're invited to put books in the library whenever you would like. We were the first Little Free Library in the entire county of Grayson and Bryan County, Oklahoma. Today, there are 16 Little Free Libraries in Grayson County and 2 in Bryan County. Ah, the joys of being trendsetters.
The Reverend Louis Van Leer provides us our opening thought this morning. It comes from a ritual of letting go, cleansing, intention, and hope. Most religious traditions have understood the element of water as the great purifier, that which washes clean and makes new. It is the teacher of the mysteries of life, death, and rebirth. Springs, streams, rivers, creeks, lakes, pools, ponds, oceans are compassionate healers, relieving actual and metaphoric thirst. Water in our lives is the power of purification, the healing balm of compassion, and the mystical presence of creativity. Be a bucket pulled up the dark way of a well, then lifted out into the light. Stars burn clear all night. Do that yourself, and a spring will rise in the dark with water your deepest thirst is for. That was by Rumi. We have 2 readings this morning. The first one is by Emily Dickinson, and excuse me, I have more notes here. Emily Dickinson wrote more than 500 poems about nature. I think she's an inspirational source, especially for those of us who look to nature as part of our spiritual focus. This is her poem that has been, it was originally called A Drop Fell on the Apple Tree. She didn't really label her poems, and then it was later titled Summer Showers. A drop fell on the apple tree, another on the roof. 6 kissed the eaves and made the gables laugh. A few went out to help the brook that went to help the sea. Myself conjectured, were they pearls? What necklaces could be? The dust replaced in hoisted roads, the birds jocoser sung, the sunshine threw his hat away, the bushes spangles hung. The breezes brought dejected lutes and bathed them in the glee. The Orient put out a single flag and signed the fete away. The next reading is making its debut today at our water communion event. It was written, well, I am lucky to have a dad who writes poetry and has published several poems. And he is actually joining us today. Richard Dietz and my stepmom, Susan Dietz, are there on Chapel iPad, so if we could wave to them. And writing and discussing poetry is one of my favorite ways to spend time with my dad. And so I approached him and said, we're doing a water communion. Could we collaborate on something? I will admit, though, he did the heavy lifting on this poem, and then I got to join in on the end and make a couple of edits. This poem features 2 water deities, Tlaloc, which is from the Aztec pantheon, and he's the god of rain, water, lightning, and agriculture. It also features Bonzi, who is a rain goddess from the African Congo, and legend says that she can be seen in rainbows and puddles. You'll also hear the word Gilgai, and that's a soil feature that's found in blackland prairie soil, which is where we live, and it's often where water will collect after rains. This poem is titled Water, Water, Everywhere. Mother Earth's soul, titanium hard, begged for relief. Bluebells, prairie verbena, wilted in summer's oven. Tlaloc thundered, flashed Aztec lightning, crack, clash, boom! Clouds burst, tossing sunshine asunder. Rain bucketed down on prairies and sheets. Pitter, patter, pitter, pitter, patter, patter. Water, water, clear, cool water everywhere. Puddles plinked in Gilgais. Dragonflies appeared from nowhere, seemingly everywhere. Prairie flowers unfurled like monarch wings rising. Tlaloc rumbled east, and water drops faded into musical chimes, glistening angel tears. Pitter, patter, pitter, patter, pitter, patter. Children puddled in puddles. Water, water, clean, cool water everywhere. The sun slipped through clouds, casting slanted beams over prairies. Bonzi painted a Congo arc across the sky. A child puddling in puddles shrieked, "Rainbow! Look at the pretty rainbow!" Beauty is God's signature. Rain, her final touch. Water, water, clear, cool water everywhere. Next, we will have a song that you can join us in. Please turn to Song 210 in the Gray Songbook so together we can sing Wade in the Water from African American tradition. We won't stand for this.
God's gonna trouble the water. See that band all dressed in white. God's gonna trouble the water. The leader looks like an Israelite. God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. See that band all dressed in red. God's gonna trouble the water. It looks like the band that Moses led. God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. God's gonna trouble the water.
Multiple people have indicated to the worship team that they want to have more diversity in our worship morning assemblies. To that end, we have added something this morning, which we have only done a few times in the past. We will listen to some relaxing music for 5 minutes and write a haiku poem. These poems are fairly simple to write. They are only 3 lines long. The first line is comprised of only 5 syllables, the second of 7 syllables, and the final line of 5 syllables. With your morning program, you received a haiku card with some possible words involving water and 3 samples of haiku poetry. These are possibilities only to give everyone a start. Anyone who would like may share their haiku as part of the closing thought, or with the congregation by giving it to Doug for inclusion in the next newsletter.
That was nice. The core symbolism of water communion is that we all come from water, as a species on a planet where life began in the ocean, as beings whose cells are mostly water. When created in the late 1970s, UU congregations tended to shut down for the summer. UUs in Springfield, Massachusetts would change the message on their phone machine. We take the summers off. Attend the church of your second choice. We return the Sunday after Labor Day. Being apart for the summer was easy to use water as a symbol of coming back together again. It was a tangible way to start up a new church year. Like water that scatters into rain and streams and clouds and springs and ponds and puddles, and yet flows together again and again into the oceans. UUs would scatter for 3 months, and using the symbolism of water, we would come back together again. It used to be that you would bring water with you from your summer travels. Well, flash forward all these years, no UU churches close for the summer. A lot of us don't do much traveling right now either. But the tradition of a water communion Sunday reminds us of our annual ritual of setting one Sunday for us in late August or early September to just celebrate the joy of being together. This week, last week, next week. Some of us remembered to bring water with us from somewhere. Some of us gathered water but forgot to bring it. Some of us remembered it, and it is here with you. For those without water, the ocean blue, we'll get in a sec, the ocean blue pitcher, which I forgot to fill beforehand, will appear at the appropriate time. So there will be water for everyone to pour in. Well, only you know where your water came from, or where maybe you would dream your water could have come from if you had been in that spot. What is significant is remembering that we at our core are mostly water. A bit later, you'll be invited to come and pour water into the common bowl, and pause if you wish, thinking on its source, remembering the various sources of all blended and created waters, just like the blending and the creating of our foundation as a church community. Time for practices. Practices. We use the word practices as a spiritual term, substituting it for more pious religious verbiage like prayers, confessions, petitions, supplications, because those terms often for you use tends to cause them to shut down listening because they trigger unpleasant memories. So practices for us is an invitation to open ourselves for a brief span of time to focus on some words that may trigger important thoughts or experiences worthy of pondering while we sit quietly for a time. I like thinking of such things as spiritual. For our practices this morning, 2 brief reflections about life, water, and those living on this earth, our planet. The first is simply called Water by the Reverend Melissa Jeter. Water is soft, and yet it is persistent. Water flows and takes the shape of the boundaries it is given. Yet over time, water in her persistence can carve through mountains. When you try to grab water, you just get wet. But if you can stop grabbing at her, she will hold you up and you can float and even swim. Water under pressure can clean dirt off houses and can cut diamonds. Water raging can overflow the boundaries put upon her. She can drown whole towns, flood freeways. She can put out a fire and save lives. So contradictory, both soft and hard, never dominant or submissive, water sustains, gives and yields to life. And this selection, another one-word title, living by the Reverend Charles Thomas. We are living in a universe, possibly part of a metaverse. We're living in the Milky Way, a part of the great local group of galaxies, a part of a super cluster of galaxies. We are living in a solar system, in a spiral arm of that Milky Way. We're living on a planet powered by the sun. We are living on a planet called Earth, with rocks and trees and birds and leaves and oceans and mountains and lakes and everything beautiful and everything good to care for as they care for us. We are living today with time to do good for ourselves and for each other. Let us sit together now in total silence for a time, something rarely done these days in our lives.
And I invite you back into the room. Blessings of the Water by Lindsay Bennett Jacobs. We bring waters from the four directions, water from the north, from icy seas and frozen lands, water that commingles and is part of the water of the globe. Bless these waters, that they may be healing waters. May the waters make us new. We bring waters from the four directions, water from the south, from summer showers and warm lagoons, water that commingles and is part of the water of the globe. Bless these waters, that they may bring us back to ourselves. May the waters make us whole. We bring waters from the four directions, water from the east, from monsoons and sacred pools, water that commingles and is part of the water of the globe. Bless these waters, that they may quench our thirst now and evermore. May the waters make us free. We bring waters from the four directions, water from the west, from dry places, water especially precious for its scarcity, water that commingles and is part of the water of the globe. Bless these waters, for they restore us to community once again. May the waters make us one. Into the chalice, Michelle will be pouring some of our collected waters from previous years. And from this same pitcher, but don't put it away yet, from this same pitcher, we're going to be adding water for each of the Zoom participants. I believe that Susan and Richard Dietz have left us this morning so far, but we're going to add water for them anyway. So this is for Susan Dietz and for Richard Dietz, and for their lovely poem that they shared with us and with Michelle's help. And for Hannah Peterson, we're going to add a little bit more of the water from the past for Hannah Peterson. And a little bit more of it for Bill Holloway. Thank you, Michelle. And Doug is going to have our pitcher for those of us that forgot their water or brought it in a different way. And so now that we have, now it is our turn, all of us. We'll kindly come forward one at a time, quietly, slowly, randomly, either bringing your water forward and pouring it into the bowl, or coming forward and pouring some water from the blue pitcher into the bowl, reflecting perhaps on the oneness of the drops of water blending into the whole. When one person is finished, let the next person come forward.
Please turn to number 1064 in the Teal Songbook as Together We Sing Blue Boat Home, lyrics by the UU songwriter Peter Meyer, music by Roland Hugh Pritchard.
Oh, below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean. Still my dry heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor the wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rod, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in a beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, great the infinite sea before me, in the sky I sail a song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
At this time, if there's anyone who would like to share their haiku, you may read it yourself. You can stand or not stand, or have one of the worship team read it for you. I think the other opportunity is also to print it, submit it to be printed in the newsletter. Please raise your hand to bring a microphone to you or pass your paper to the pulpit.
Barreling river, thundering muddy water, rolling torrent flood. I think we might have that today.
Actually, I have three. I'm also going to read one of them. These were written by Carolyn a couple of nights ago when she asked me if I knew what haiku was, and I said no. So anyways, let's dance in the rain. Don't worry about your hair. Rain looks good on you.
Like that.
Watercolor blues, washing over, repeating, rolling, rising waves.
We live with water, blue seas rolling quietly, ocean waves crashing.
You guys, I'm getting the chills. These are really good.
Ocean vast hails blue-green, barreling river rain swells, cold shower swells stream.
This was from Cecilia, who was Hopi Pueblo, and when she saw me carrying an umbrella, she was like, mm-mm. The black umbrella, see it cause forgetfulness of my friend, the rain.
Full moon shines on snow. Ice glistens against the cold. Gifts from the Spirit.
The waves come, then go, arise from the one still joined, all return unchanged.
Ocean, God's formless presence. Raindrops, God's tears of joy. Blue sky, God's infinite love.
I had one I'd written earlier, but I decided to write a second one during the 5-minute period. The rain fell in Mead, flowing over the highway. Curb to curb it ran.
Small sprinkles fall down upon a lady struggling to keep her dog dry.
Rain, rain, finally rain. I hope the universe continues to bless us.
I watch Kitty lap cool water from her blue bowl. We are both refreshed.
Hard rain this morning, water covering the roads, feeding the parched ground.
And before we finish, I invite anyone who would like to put your name on your card and still give it to Doug, because it would be a really nice addition to the newsletter to be able to read it and to share it with others.
These were lovely. Next, we will have the blessing of the water for the Web of Life Monarch Way Station. Today, we bless our Monarch Way Station with the collected waters from today's communion. We call upon Bonzi, Congo goddess of rain, the multicolored serpent seen in the rainbows in the sky and in the ripples of water during sunset. Bonzi, may your rains bring an abundant harvest of flowers and leaves for our pollinator friends. Replenish this soil with moisture to nourish the soil community that we can't see, but we absolutely depend upon. We bless this garden with the combined energies of our congregation. Blessed be. Marla and Jim are now going to take our collected waters outside, and while Marla pours our waters on the Web of Life Monarch Way Station, Jim will be our eyes as we can watch them in the ritual by looking at the far screen. When they return, we'll extinguish our chalice. I really loved those haikus. I want to print them and hang them. I invite you to stand in body or spirit for extinguishing the chalice. The words, should you need them, are in the morning program. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.